right here. And this is what we have for you on the program today. Persisting hike in the price of LPG in Nigeria. What is behind that? We'll find out. Estonia opens for Nigeria and others. A new category of visa is available. The Jackpot syndrome rolls on. And bad news coming from Libya. Force majeure in the largest oil field. We look to that affecting the price of oil in the coming days. Good afternoon. Welcome to Business Incorporated. I'm Ini John Mekwa. Well, this is where you get updates from the world of business right here on Channels Television. We'll start off with what's going on in Nigeria, and we can tell you that oil prices outside Nigeria, oil prices fell by more than 1% on Monday. A sharp cut in price. We see that as top exporter. Let's look at the numbers right there. Price of Brent is down 0.93%. Isn't that too big? Really large right there. $78.03 a barrel. WTI also down more than 1% at $73.04 a barrel. Now, when we look at what's causing this, Saudi Arabia, there's a rise in OPEC output, offsetting worries about escalating geopolitical tension in the Middle East. Brent, of course, slipped, as we have already told you earlier, after falling more than 1% earlier in the session, while U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude was also down. And we can tell you that both benchmarks are down, beginning the week on a lower cut. And then there's also rising supply and competition with rival producers prompted Saudi Arabia on Sunday to cut the February official selling price of its flagship Arab Light crude to Asia to the lowest level in 27 months. And both benchmarks climbed 2% in the first week of this year. We move over now to the grain session and see what's going on right there. We see the price, which is up more than 2%, 2.2% at $6.13 for half of a bushel. Soybeans is down 0.7% at $12.67 for half a bushel, while corn is on the flip side, 0.3% up, $4.66 for half a bushel. And there's cold. The weather is a major determinant right here for the commodities. Cold weather forecast poses a threat to Black Sea crops. Soybeans for March delivery was also down. The weather in Brazil especially is a major one, affecting prices of the crops right there. Well, moving on from there, we go to Nigeria, where we can tell you that Afrexim Bank has now begun a beautiful collaboration with Enugu State government to see what's going on there. This report captures the details of it. Before we delve into our conversation,
I think,
Alex, you can say that I'm done with this thing. Are you still?
especially in how we believe that sub-sovereigns can contribute to the development aspirations of our country, Nigeria, and our continent. I know we have identified specific areas where we intend to quickly advance collaboration. We've agreed that we'll put in place a project preparation facility so that we can begin to develop bankable studies for those aspects of interventions that we share as priorities. I want to assure you and through you, your colleagues, that you can count on us because we believe in the vision you have. We believe that those things you've identified are things that will shape this state and also country, Nigeria. Speak now as a Nigerian. And whenever we see a leader take that kind of solid and courageous, bold steps, we'll fall in line because it makes our work much easier.
our plan is to make Enugu State one of the top 3 states in the country in terms of GDP. And that growth, we believe, would come from investment from private sector. And if we have to attract private sector, as you know, private sector, they're not Father Christmas. They believe in returns on investment. So we believe that there are things that some infrastructure that we must put in place to attract the private sector investment. And that's why we're in a hurry to put those in place. You mentioned the hotel, the hospital, the ICC. We see these as necessary infrastructure to attract a lot of investment flow. The airport is also not left out because we want to see the operationalization of the international wing of the airport and also the construction of the cargo terminal. So we're very happy of the collaboration with Afri-Exim, and we're truly looking forward to this partnership, because with all that is lacking in everything we have said here is a necessary financial support, and with the assurances we're getting from you and with the zeal we both have in realizing or accomplishing this project, I have no doubt in my mind that it will become a model where you can be proud to say, look, go and look at our partnership with the Enugu State government and see what we have accomplished. That's our aim, and we have no doubt that we'll realize that.
Well, still in Nigeria now, in fulfillment of its commitment to eliminate the backlog of pending matured foreign exchange and deposit money banks, the Central Bank of Nigeria recently disbursed approximately $61.64 million to foreign airlines through various banks. This initiative is part of the CBN's efforts to decrease its remaining liability to the airlines. This information was confirmed by the Acting Director of Corporate Communications Department at the CBN, Mrs. Hakama Sidi Ali, in Abuja. Mrs. Sidi Ali further discloses that in the past 3 months, the CBN has also redeemed outstanding forward liabilities amounting to almost $2 billion. This underscores the bank's commitment to the resolution of pending obligations and a functional foreign exchange market. According to her, these payments signify the CBN's ongoing effort to settle all remaining valid forward transactions with the aim of alleviating the current pressure on the country's exchange rate. It's anticipated that this initiative by the CBN should provide a considerable boost to the naira against other major world currencies in no time. Still in Nigeria, Dangote Petroleum Refinery and Petrochemicals Plant has purchased 1 million barrels of Agbami crude grade from Shell International Trading and Shipping Company, and one of the largest trading companies in Nigeria, as well as globally, trading over 8 million barrels of crude oil every day. The SASCO cargo contained 1 million barrels from Agbami and sailed to Dangote Refinery's single point mooring, that is the SPM, where it was discharged into the refinery's crude oil tanks. The maiden 1 million barrels, which represent the first phase of the 6 million barrels of crude oil to be supplied to Dangote Petroleum by a range of suppliers, should sustain the initial 350,000 barrels per day to be processed by the facility. The next 4 cargoes will be supplied by the NNPC in 2 to 3 weeks, and the final of the 6 cargoes will be supplied by ExxonMobil. Closely related to that, about a month after federal government's intervention, household and small businesses are still buying cooking gas above 1,100 kilogram for a kilogram of cooking gas. Well, remember that the Minister of Gas had promised or set up a committee which is supposed, to look into all this. And then there was also the federal government's effort suspending VATs and waivers for related components and other parts that are connected to gas supply in the country. And in spite of this, Nigerians would still tell you that the price of cooking gas has not reduced. As you can see there on the screen, the Minister of State for Petroleum, Mr. Ekpo, had announced that that was in December, and then there was also a committee that was set up. And then there was also that waiver of VAT and duties for gas-related products. In spite of all of this, the country has not enjoyed what the federal government had thought it would. So we wonder what's going on there. Perhaps there's something that we have overlooked. That's why we have in the studio Prince Bambo Ademiliu. He's the chairman of Nigeria Liquefied Petroleum Gas Association. Happy New Year, sir. Good to have you in the studio.
Thank you very much.
So we thought Christmas would be good, especially when we heard the federal government suspending the VAT and waivers, you know. But in spite of that, I mean, even personally, I bought gas, I think, late last week. And I haven't seen any difference. In fact, it's increased.
For how much did you buy?
So I bought the 12.5 kg for 13,000 naira.
Okay.
That's a personal experience.
That's right. Well, I'm happy to be here. I'm chairman of the Auto Gas Committee, although I'm a gas practitioner, and I buy and sell also, because we have a plant. Well, the federal government did very well by removing VAT and import duty on LPG. But that is yet to take effect in the market, in the sense that we're just talking December. Cargoes that came in that I know of in December were mainly cargoes that came from inland. And that was why you had a drop in the price in December, actually. Because pre-December, November, and early December, ex-depot price was about 16 million for the 20 tons bridges. But when these products came in from NLNG, there were actually 4 cargoes in a space of about 5 weeks. The price crashed towards Christmas to 14 million per 20 metric tons, ex-depot. And of course, it reflected in the market.
How much did that come to, a 12 kg?
12.5 kg. Before it was about 10,900 to 11,000. And it came to about 10,000 towards Christmas, ex-plant, ex-filling plant. But of course, you have the people who buy from the plant and sell. So that gap is what you are experiencing.
So is it the middleman effect that it's covering up the benefits?
I would believe so.
So but it has always, I mean, the chain has always been that way. And we haven't had the middleman, you know, impact.
Because you didn't notice.
Okay.
If you go to the plant to buy, you would notice that difference in the price from what you are buying in your neighborhood, where you're just going to give to one man to give you another cylinder. If you take the pains to go to a plant to buy directly from the plant, then you'll get that benefit of a lower price.
So how much is a 12.5 kg now? I bought it 13,000.
Today, I'm sure ex-plant, you won't get it for more than 11,000, 11,500. It shouldn't be more than that.
So you're saying that...
Despite the fact that the product NLNG brought in November is being mopped up and be brought in December. And, you know, we must give them credit in the sense that there were challenges. The whole of October and November, there were no cargoes from inland, from Bonny. But they, on their own, provided a big mother vessel that took product and then gave to smaller vessels to give to the locals at their own cost. So we must give NLNG that credit for crashing that price in December, because they did not increase the price they were selling to the depot owners. And the depot owners were actually able to crash their prices by 2 million naira per bridger because of that intervention which NLNG did at no cost to the market.
So are we saying we should look for a way to eliminate the middleman?
Well,
I mean, if that's why...
I don't know if it's easy to eliminate the middleman. It is...
Because we've always had them.
Yes.
And the prices have always been, you know, when there's high demand or there's problem globally, then we'll see it reflect in the domestic prices.
Yes.
And when there's not, we will also see it drop. You understand? So I don't know why the middlemen will now have to be the
They too are dropping. They are dropping. In December, before mid-December, they were selling at about 13,000, 14,000. But they dropped too. But because there are not enough mini plants, you know, the mini plants, the skid plants that you see all over, add-ons in filling stations, they're all coming up. As we have more of that, you'll have more access to direct purchase from plants, and you can buy cheaper. But for as long as you live and buy in an area where such plants don't exist, you'll have to cope with what the middleman who is in your neighborhood will sell to you.
So are we saying we're on the right track now? Because
we are on the right track, at the supply end, because with this duty waiver and the VAT removal, even imports will be cheaper. What we need to do actually is to improve on our supply from locals. NLNG is the only notable supplier from their local production. We have others like them who are not supplying to the local market. And I mean,
because it's more profitable to export. Well,
we're buying at the same price. That's why I'm surprised that somehow or the other they have never got around to get to supply the local market. NLNG sells at their international price, but they have given so much to the local market, which the others are not doing. If they do that, we'll have more local production in, and then we don't have to import. And of course, that means that cost of freight, just coming from Bonny or Warri or from wherever, is cheaper than coming from Europe, where the imports are coming from, Europe or America or wherever. So we need to bring in more product from the inside. The marginal oil fields are coming up, but they can only produce a little compared to what our needs will be. So,
especially now that we have conversion generators and vehicles.
Exactly, and we are hoping to convert even as small as Keke Marua and cars and all that. LPG, even at this price that you're talking about, is still more cheaper than petrol. Petrol is still 600 naira. It is still subsidized. If you remove the subsidy that is hidden today from petrol, we're buying at about 1,000. LPG is less than it's about 480, 490 per liter. Still today at this high cost. So if we then convert, because people will find it cheaper than using other fuels like petrol or diesel, then we'll be using so many, we'll be needing so much. And the much we'll need, we might not be able to get it all from locals. So that's the problem we have. So we need to get more local production from those that are producing.
Capital intensive.
The local production, well, there are people already producing. The marginal oil fields need to produce also. That's capital intensive. Government could support that initiative to as many of marginal oil fields as possible. You know, get them support from funding agencies to give them cheap funds.
Because when you say government, I think government has...
I'm not saying government should give money. Support the initiative by...
Support how?
They could guarantee...
I mean, because government has already done the waivers and the duties. I think that's a huge support.
Part of these funds that are being used for CNG development and all that, part of it could go in that direction too. Because at the end of the day, we are getting more CNG. We are getting LPG, butane and propane in the mix.
So you think government should focus more on LPG?
LPG is more accessible than CNG. It's more accessible. It's all over the place. And if we produce more of it, we can use it more. CNG is cheaper than LPG. Fine, true. But you cannot get CNG cheap, despite the fact that it's still more expensive than LPG. Cannot get it cheap in off-grid areas. In the grid areas, you can get it slightly cheaper because you don't need facilities to step down your pressure and all that. But in the off-grid areas, you need a daughter vessel that's a massive thing, costing you about $200,000-$300,000. Nobody is going to buy that and put in his petrol station in Ile-Ife, my hometown, because it's not going to make that money back. So CNG, yes, it's good, it's cheap, but it's very expensive to deploy. So LPG is a cheaper one to deploy for the locals, and but CNG has its own use too, because you could use it more effectively for power generation and bring down the cost of power. Now that government has even allowed captive power in communities. In the on-grid areas, CNG is the answer for power generation, for industries that are burning plenty of gas for heating their food stuff and all that. Boilers that are heating.
But for the smaller SMEs,
for the smaller SMEs, and the LPG is the answer.
But I have to tell you, Prince, I know you said we're on the right track. I've spoken to a couple of people who have been discouraged from converting because if the price of LPG keeps going this way, you know.
But it is still cheaper. It's still cheaper than petrol. It's still cheaper than diesel. Much cheaper.
Okay. All right, Chairman of Nigerian Liquefied Petroleum Gas Association, thank you so much for your time.
Autogas Group.
Autogas Group.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Prince Bambo Ademiliu. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, we'll head to the markets. It's time for market news now with Anete Edet. He has loads of story, beginning, of course, with Anete,
good morning,
the good news that it's afternoon, Anete. This is Business Incorporated.
No, don't blame me. Happy New Year, first of all. I think this is the first time I'm coming.
Happy New Year to you too, exactly. Anete. I saw the NGX was on fire last week. I mean, I can't believe we started the year at 74 and then we closed the first trading week at 79. That was really hot.
Yes, and guess what? It was actually 3 milestones that were recorded within the week. First, resuming 2023 from the Christmas and New Year holidays into 75,000, and then to another high, and just like you mentioned, 79,000, and
at the close of 4 trading sessions.
Just 4 trading sessions.
Yeah, but Anete, you know, there's something about the NGX that has been bothering me, especially since the demutualization that was done, I think 2 years now. You can hardly go to the website of the NGX to get the whole information that you need. Unfortunately, I mean, you compare to our peers, you can get market cap, you can get, you know, the market cap of stocks and all of that. Yeah, but you can't get that from the Nigerian Stock Exchange. And it's kind of sad, especially for journalists like us, because you work with numbers, you want to find out the movement, you want to know the progression, because you have to use it for chat, for broadcast, and you can't get those numbers. And I know I've spoken behind camera to a couple of officials at the NGX, but it seems they can't just get it done.
Well, you know, actually, Ini, I'll tell you for free that it's quite disappointing, like you rightly mentioned. Myself, I've also had that challenge. Before the demutualization, at the click of a button, you'd get all of this information, you know, readily at your fingertips, which guides your reportage of the market. But this time, I think because of the demutualization, the NGX...
But it's been 2 years.
It's been 2 years now. Maybe they've decided to commercialize it, but they would be in a better position to
but I mean, if you go to other markets, you get information right there.
No, but this is Nigeria. This is Nigeria.
I forgot I was
exactly.
in Nigeria.
So everything has to be monetized. Okay. We're looking for money. Your government's looking for money.
Okay.
Right. So now let's take a look at the market at intraday. We were talking about the equities market, but let's take a look at the market. How is performing for the Nigerian stock market, the barometer of the economic performance? You might say, yes, the economy is in a downturn, but take a look at your board. Our stock market has been on fire, closing the year at 74, but reopening the year at about 75, but closing the first week of January 2024 with at a 79,000 points. Now it's racing towards the 80,000 level the highest so far that ever since we've been reporting this market, it has never touched that index level. But here we are at intraday, 0.27% in the green, and very much comfortable at the 79,000, bracing towards the 80,000 level, which the market participants are really expecting this new level for the market. And of course, in Naira terms, that also means that there's more money to be made. Lots of the high net worth investors, their money, their net worth is growing, is expanding, as well as the lower rung of the investors. They're also making money. So there's money to be made. If you don't know where to put your money, just go to the stock market. Let's move over to the South Africa. South Africa was the lone loser for the African markets that we're tracking here. It was down by more than 1% at intraday at 73,722.0 points. Now let's move over to the other side of that market, where we see the other markets, the Egyptian Stock Exchange, which was, if I'm correct, that should be the best performing stock market for Africa. But at intraday, it was up by slightly higher, 0.5% at 25,480.51. Now over to Kenya. For Kenya's stocks, it was also in the green. So the greens have it for the African markets. Now that's all for the market. But then we'll also be talking about the Forex market, where Nigeria's foreign reserves received its first accretion. So it closed the year at about 32 billion naira, but it was back at about $32 billion, but back in the $33 billion level. And this is thanks to the $2.25 billion that the country received from Afrexim Bank, which is supposed to aid the clearance of backlogs of Forex for the market. But look at the market for the on the FMDQ Forex trading, where Forex is officially traded. It was unfortunately, it was in the negative 20.92%, and this is no thanks to the FX spot market, which recorded more than 21% drop in terms of the transactions carried out as at the end of last week, the 5th of January to be precise. Over to the other side of that market, we saw the Naira making a very moderate rebound against what it performed in the previous week. This is as at January the 5th. So the Naira was up by 5.84% in contrast to what it had previously, 963 Naira, 24 kobo. And then currently, as at Friday last week, it was at 910 Naira, 8 kobo. Now, to give us more perspective about the fixed income market as well as the Forex market, let's talk to Bosun Obembe, who is from the fixed income dealer at Access Bank. Tell us more details about where the market is heading to, what the impact of this on the Forex market. So he'll give us more details on that. Thank you for joining us, Bosun.
Thank you for having me. Happy New Year.
Yeah, Happy New Year. I believe we last spoke sometime in November. So now, Bosun, I'm very, very curious. First, there's quite a lot to talk about today. The DMO, the Debt Management Office, as they've opened the first FGN savings bond offer. Last week, we also had some kind of activities at the FX market, and then we'll be expecting the primary market auction. So tell us more about this, particularly the accretion of Nigeria's foreign reserves.
So on the fixed income market, just the same way we've seen the bullish trend in the stock exchange, in the stock market. So we've seen similar thing in the fixed income market. We've seen the bullish trend persist all through last week. Before now, we have a double-digit rate for 1 year paper, but we've seen a 1 year instrument trading as low as 10%. What we can attribute to this, we have a lot of liquidity in the system. As you rightly know that most of the things that drain liquidity from the system is FX, and we've not been seeing a lot of FX, maybe intervention from the central bank. So there are a lot of liquidity in the system. The only option CBN, and there has not been OMO option, which CBN normally used to mop this excess liquidity. So the tools that CBN has been using currently has been the CRR, which CBN has been using occasionally to mop excess liquidity. So, and as a bank or as an institution, if you don't want to get caught in the CRR, so what most banks are doing is to actually go and buy some of this instrument at any available yield. So we have a lot of interest across the curve, both on the mid and the short tenor paper. Similarly, on the bond space, there are a lot of interest. The last auction in December, we have the 1 year paper closing as high as 18%, but currently we are seeing the 2053 paper trading as low as 15.8%. So the same sentiment that we've seen in the stock market is what we are seeing in the fixed income, which is driven by liquidity. On the savings bond too, there are a lot of like you mentioned. So the last savings bond, the 2 year paper was at I think 12%, 12 point something percent. But the current one, there is a reduction about 100 basis point from the previous one, so which shows the level of liquidity, and DMO is taking advantage of this to actually raise fund at a lower rate. So on the accretion, like you said, we all know the reason why we've seen this improvement. Since the 21st of December, the reserve has been growing. If you look at it year to date this year, we've seen an accretion of about 123 million, notably due to the Afrexim the loans that the central bank got. So the reason why we've not seen that significant spike is the reserve is based on a 30-day moving average. So I believe maybe in the next 20 days we should be seeing the accretion into the reserve, which will actually be very good for the naira. Like you said, if you look at it, where we closed last year, if you look at where we are now, there has been a lot of appreciation in naira. However, we've not really seen a lot of supply.
Okay. Yeah, thank you so much, Bosso. I know you're very, very hungry to give us more details about that market. But of course, like I always say, time is never your friend when you're giving information. But we're satisfied with that for now. So that was Bosso Obembe. Yeah, thank you. That was Bosso Obembe, fixed income dealer at Axis Bank, giving us details about the fixed income market, in particular the forex market. Let's move over to the Middle East, where we see positive sentiments across board, and that's coming despite geopolitical tensions and the fading expectations of an early rate cut in the United States. Well, earlier today we heard that Costco, which is China's shipping giant, making an announcement that it would not be making some shipments to Israel. It has joined the league of many companies avoiding that route. So, of course, that's having an impact in the Middle East market, but not really on the indexes. Take a look at Abu Dhabi. That's for the United Arab Emirates market. Let's move over to the other side of those markets. Saudi Arabia was the only loner there, the only downer there. The Tadawul was down 0.03%, while Qatar Stock Exchange Index was up by 0.38% in terms of the market. But we would be giving you more details about the market in subsequent editions of Business Incorporated, where I'll be giving you that details for other markets. So, Ini, that's it for all of the markets.
Yeah, Anita, thank you so much for going around as much as you could. I'd love to have the Asia and United States, but we'll have it tomorrow. Thank you so much. All right, let's move to London now with Juliana. Juliana, good afternoon. And London tube strikes have been called off. This should make movement easier. But what are some of the promises and the bases on which the strikes have been called off?
Good afternoon, Inni. Yes, you're absolutely right. I think all commuters across the British capital breathed a huge sigh of relief last night when we got the announcement from the RMT, which is the union representing tube drivers, saying that, alas, at the very last minute, the 4 days of strike action was cancelled, which is, of course, as I said, really good news, because it was going to, put London into a complete travel chaos. Most people would not have been able to go to work, and we've seen that in subsequent years. We don't have much information from the RMT, but what we do know is that for the past couple of years they've been negotiating with the Mayor of London's office, that's Sadiq Khan, about getting a significant pay rise. I think 5% was put on the table. To them, absolutely not enough. And at the last minute, Sadiq Khan, the Mayor of London, appears to have found some extra funding to at least continue these negotiations, which is a good thing because we know that the UK economy has been completely crippled by industrial action over the past couple of years. I think in 2023, Rishi Sunak's Conservative government were pretty successful in negotiating most offers, but of course there are still many on the table, including the one with TfL, which at least the strike action has been averted, but there is still a huge strike going on at the moment. That's with junior doctors. I believe today is the last full day of their industrial action. They will begin work at 7:30 a.m. tomorrow, but just having a look at the figures in terms of the appointments that have been cancelled, hundreds of thousands have been cancelled via the NHS because of these strikes. It's not great, but again, at least one has been called off for now, although we expect more movement from the RMT union in the coming weeks.
Yeah, the way you emphasize for now, just keeps us on the seat of uncertainty, at least for a bit. But what else are we expecting this week from the UK?
Yeah, it's the first full week, isn't it, of 2024. And Rishi Sunak, the Prime Minister, has been very, very busy. I think the first big one has got to be PMQs on Wednesday. This is Prime Minister's questions when MPs from across the House get to tackle the Prime Minister on the biggest issue. And the biggest issue of the year, without a doubt, in the UK is going to be the general election. This is something that we discussed quite extensively on Channels Business Global last week. But, all you have to do, Inni, is have a look at any poll at the moment, and it shows that Sir Keir Starmer, the leader of the Labour opposition party, is head and shoulders above Rishi Sunak, the Prime Minister, who is still fighting, of course, because he wants to win this election. But it is going to be incredibly difficult. So let's see what the clash between the two titans is going to be like on Wednesday. Then on Friday, we get all-important GDP data for the month of November. I think the consensus is it is going to show a contraction of perhaps 0.1%. This follows a fall of GDP by 0.3% in October. Not great. And it's quite interesting, actually, because the data is so distorted at the moment, a really mixed bag of what the UK economy looks like. If you were to listen to all of the forecasts from the OECD, from the IMF, from the World Bank, really, we should kind of be in a recession. We're not there yet, but growth is starting to really crawl. So I think for the Prime Minister, yes, certainly the fact that he managed to get inflation from record highs, 40-year highs, double digits, down to 3.9% of the latest reading is a good thing. But then the GDP data, not so great. However, we have had PMI data, and PMI, of course, and as you know, it gives you a forensic look at the main sectors in services, manufacturing, construction. The last data we got last year, looking at services and manufacturing, was pretty strong, all above 50, all showing growth. Is this going to be reflected in the overall final quarter of 2023? We shall have to wait and see, which is our famous business terminology.
Unfortunately, Juliana, we always have to wait to get the numbers after, the period is over, I wish there was a way we could just get, But let's look at the numbers. At least we can get, the live numbers for this one.
We can have a look at those live numbers, and the mood music is damp in London. I think that's all been led by miners and energy firms. Actually, they all share it intraday. It's down by 0.36%. FTSE 100, that's down by 0.37%. FTSE 250, the domestic market, that's down by 0.25% at intraday. In the currencies market, British pound not faring too well against the US dollar. It's trading down 0.13%. I think one British pound will get you about $1.27 at intraday. The pound is also trading down against the euro by 0.08% and down 2 against the Japanese yen by 0.37% at intraday.
All right, Juliana, thank you so much for that. Talk to you tomorrow.
Talk tomorrow.
Let's go to Europe now. Switzerland is in the news, and it's not known for its bargain shopping. In fact, it's one of the most expensive places in Europe. Latest inflation data says that things won't get any cheaper. Whether we have Lars Holter now to give us the details from Berlin. Hi, Lars. Good afternoon. Why are we discussing this now? Swiss inflation.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Ini. Indeed, numbers are just out this morning, and Switzerland's inflation came in at 1.7% for the month of December. Now, for that country, this is an unusually strong uptick, but it's still well within the range the Swiss National Bank is looking for. They are targeting an inflation rate between 0 and 2%, much like the Fed, the ECB, and in fact, most other central banks. Still, the December number is higher than expected, and it is higher too than for the rest of the year 2023, of course. Now, to a large part, that's because of higher prices for energy and gas. Switzerland obviously not being immune from global trends, as, for example, the oil price is up as of late.
So even though it's not within their target, yet inflation in Switzerland is still lower than other parts of Europe.
Well, mainly because the country is not in any union with others. Like Switzerland, of course, lies in the heart of Europe, but it's not part of the EU and not part of the Eurozone. All the countries surrounding Switzerland are, but Switzerland itself has famously been neutral throughout its history. Politically, too, it has never been part of the East or the West. It's not a member of NATO. And as all that neutrality extends into the economic field. And being all independent, of course, means that Switzerland can make its own trade deals and play by its own rules, of course, as long as others sign on to any trade deals. But they do, because Switzerland is a highly attractive market with above average wealth.
All right, Lars, let's look at the markets right now, see what investors are doing.
Well, things could be better for the new week. Last week was the first trading week of the year, of course, and markets were pretty weak. Now, Asian shares are down again today. That's likely just a reaction, of course, to Friday's U.S. job report. That had come out pretty strong, putting a damper on hopes that the Fed will soon cut interest rates. Remember, the central bank usually jumps in with a rate cut to support a weak economy, to spur growth. That doesn't seem necessary right now. However, investors have been hoping for a rate cut, as it would likely bring more money into the stock market. Anyway, a few cuts are still expected for the year. Sometimes, of course, a little patience is needed.
All right, we'll try and build up the patience. Thank you, Lars. Now let's go to other parts of the world, mostly in Africa now. One of the world's most online countries, Estonia in Europe, has opened visas for foreign skilled workers with 23 most sought-after jobs across various fields, including healthcare, dentistry, agriculture, and engineering in 2024. The country, known for its streamlined work visa application process and acceptance rate, is one of the most accessible destinations for skilled professional opportunities in Europe. Estonia stated that having comparatively lower visa applications than other countries, that it would absorb a more foreign skilled workforce in 2024. According to reports, about 12,040 job vacancies were disclosed by Statistics Estonia, an 8.7% decline from the year before. Still, despite the decline, the country continues to struggle against workforce shortages across various sectors. Job shortages are apparent in specific sectors as healthcare, manufacturing, engineering, and technology. I see Nigerians going that way next. Do you? Well, from there we go to Libya, where the National Oil Corporation, NOC, has declared a force majeure with immediate effect at its Sarara oil field, which can produce up to 300,000 barrels per day. And this is because of protests in the area. Negotiations are ongoing to resume production as soon as possible. National Oil Corporation shared this in a statement. The closure of the oil field, one of Libya's largest, has suspended crude oil supplies from the field to Zawiya terminal. A force majeure event relieves the parties from performing their obligations due to extraordinary events or circumstances beyond their control. The field is run by state oil firm NOC with Spain's Repsol, France Total, Austria's OMV, and Norway's Equinor. The oil sector in Libya suffered in 2022 from closures that lasted for nearly 3 months, leading to over 6 billion dinars, that's about $3.59 billion in losses. And still staying on the continent, the number of imported motorcycles and cycles fitted with auxiliary motor in 9 months has dropped. That's in Kenya. in September fell by 77.5% to 64,041 units from 285,459 units in a similar period in 2022. Motorcycle imports fell the sharpest last year as higher import costs resulted in a general decline in consumption of goods and Kenya's consumers ordered from overseas. According to the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics data, the number of imported motorcycles and cycles fitted with auxiliary motor in 9 months of September was down compared to similar period in 2022. The sharp decline in the import is largely due to increased costs on not only direct acquisitions, but also higher financing costs to purchase units, rising fuel costs, and a glut of units in the market. The transport subsector has, moreover, seen a glut in the supply of motorcycles, with the industry now deemed near the saturation point. The government's push to transition the sector into clean energy use has been pegged on reducing pollution from the transport sector. Now let's go to the market that never sleeps, that's crypto. And Ladi walks in with the recovery of Bitcoin.
Yeah, Bitcoin back again after touching about 41,000 and liquidating a huge longs. That investors that thought Bitcoin was going to go even higher. All of them got liquidated, you know, betting on the coin going higher. They're supposed to make money when it's going up, but this time they all got liquidated. But now Bitcoin is back up again, 45,000.
Always bouncing back.
Always bouncing back. So it's quite risky betting against, you know, this coin at this point. All right, let's look at the first trading week of 2024 for the top cryptocurrencies we track as Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Binance. Yeah, by market cap, we see Bitcoin is up about 3.24% for the week last week. That's the first trading week of 2024. But we see Ethereum on the flip side, that's down 2.42%. And we see Binance coin, that's the native coin for the Binance exchange. That's down 4.62 for the week last week. So that's the performance there. So we see Bitcoin there still raging on, but some of these altcoins are giving off a lot of the profits they made. All right, let's look at the top stories now. We see ARK Invest as one of the top investors there is offloaded more coin shares. That's the shares of Coinbase. That's listed on NASDAQ there. And we're seeing sell-offs now of about $20 million. So they're continuing the sell-offs at this point. And definitely that's going to impact the share price of coin. And we see Indian crypto firms are migrating to Dubai. You know, at this point, we've seen some stringent rules there for Indian crypto exchanges there by the regulator in India. That's pushing some of these crypto firms to Dubai, where they say the climate there is more friendly for them, talking about regulation. Now we see XRP ETF, that's trending on X, formerly Twitter at this time. We know everyone's been paying attention to Bitcoin spot ETF, but there's chatter about XRP ETF, and that's making XRP ETF trend on Twitter. We've put up some of those tweets. Now we can see one of the tweets there. Everyone's talking about the ETF, XRP ETF, and I'm sure definitely investors are going to be speculating on that. If you put out the tweets there, some of the tweets we see from on X there, we see XRP ETF trending. Then you see that there. So they say XRP ETF within days, 2,529 per XRP, says BlackRock. That's one of the tweets there. If you look at other tweets there, making that hashtag there trend right now on Twitter, XRP ETF. We see that there. So we see 27 Bitcoin was sent to Satoshi's wallets. Yeah, that's the legacy wallet created by Satoshi. That's the creator, Satoshi Nakamoto, the supposed creator of Bitcoin. Some money is moving into that legacy wallet. Wonder why anyone will be sending money there. But when there was an anniversary for Bitcoin, some investors, you know, sent Bitcoin there as a way to celebrate, you know, Satoshi, that legacy wallet. But 27 Bitcoin was sent there from Binance Exchange. I wonder why they'll be doing that. Let's bring in Rume Ofi now, financial market analyst. Hello, Rume. Great to have you.
Hello, Ladi. Thank you very much for having me. It's
Fantastic.
a great day here.
So, yeah, quite a lot of headlines there. And one is this Satoshi wallet receiving Bitcoin. Why would anybody send 27 Bitcoin to that wallet knowing fully well it's not active?
Yes, if you ask me, that's a joke. That's a joke taken too far. You know, we have trolls in different shape and size. You know, Satoshi actually has about 1.1 million BTC in one of his wallets and a couple of others in other wallets here and there. But this person sending it actually has invoked a lot of curiosity in the market. Some are saying that is a birthday gift to Satoshi, which brings to mind that is Satoshi alive? Also, another question that comes to mind is this more like a marketing gimmick for Binance, because the funds moved from Binance to the wallet? Also, a couple of persons are also asking, is this a sign for a possible bull market or something? You know, so the conversation is here and there, but you know, it's only if a court gives a directive for us to know who actually, or group of persons that sent that to the Satoshi wallet, considering the fact that Satoshi Nakamoto is an anonymous creator. So actually said that Satoshi is a man, a woman, a group of persons, maybe dead or alive. You know, so this is a very good thing, even though a lot of people use things that they don't know who actually created. But we're seeing it as a way to say that this technology has come, and the best that people should do is to make the best use of it to better strengthen the value of transactions as against what we used to know like gold and the fiat currencies.
Right. Definitely, another thing trending right now is this XRP, ETF. I thought all the attention was for a Bitcoin, spot ETF. But looking at, this trend, at the moment, do you see this actually happening, an XRP ETF?
All right, I don't want to sound like a Bitcoin maxi here, but the truth is, it is Bitcoin first before any other thing, right? Bitcoin is the big daddy. Let's have Bitcoin have all the attention first. I know XRP maxi is actually very strong. It's a very strong community, but the attention is for Bitcoin. You see, afterwards, we'll start having XRP, BlackRock, Bitwise, Venike, and all of that institutional investors coming to list their approval, probably hoping to get an approval between a few days from now or this weekend from the SEC. But there's no doubt that XRP ETF is going to come in, but I think most likely that the institutional investors are going to pay more attention on Bitcoin first as a store of value and a way to make transactions than XRP, because XRP is actually a centralized platform. That's only a centralized payment network, and also XRP, which is the digital currency in that light, which have a CEO, it has a company, and it makes it more centralized.
Right.
Of which they have their case in court at some point. But now I think Bitcoin supersedes that. So let's lay all the emphasis on Bitcoin first. Then maybe later we can talk about XRP.
Later,
but it's good for them to trend so that they are recognized. Yes.
All right, and I guess since XRP right now is not deemed a security, so let's see what happens going forward. Thank you so much, Rume Ofi. Always great having perspective.
Thank you very much, Ladi. Let's see if the Bitcoin ETF comes up.
All right, fingers crossed at this point. Yeah, so that's how it's looking. It's ETF season, right now, 2024. Everyone looking out for Bitcoin spot ETF, but we're also seeing XRP ETF.
Yeah,
trending.
Don't forget, or I should tell Rumesh, don't forget that in life, overtaking is allowed.
Overtaking is allowed.
So XRP can.
Imagine if an XRP ETF comes before a Bitcoin ETF. That would be incredible.
Yeah. All right, Ladi, thank you so much.
Thank you.
So that's it on the very first episode of Business Incorporated for this week. Don't forget, you always get updates from the world of business for 55 minutes. We're back again tomorrow at 1 p.m. But before then, I'll see you tonight. I hope the NGX closes positive again. Fingers crossed. I'm Ini John Mekwa. Talk to you later.